I also thought it was significant when you did say that one has to recognise there is a hierarchy, because
one has to recognize there is a hierarchy, because there are moments in our lives when we want to make a choice and we don't know how to do it. Yeah, and I think it's very important to realize that nobody really knows constantly where they have to go.
No.
So we're all searching. And at the moment that we realize there's a hierarchy, we can ask for help.
Right.
If we don't acknowledge there is a hierarchy,
right,
we won't be asking for help where we could have asked for help,
right,
and we
exactly.
just will have to do it by ourselves.
Right.
And all people that have ever asked for help, they have noticed that they actually do get that help.
Yes.
Sometimes not exactly the way they expected it to be, or would have liked it to be.
Right.
Like me.
Right.
But still get it though.
Yeah. And that strikes me as a very interesting point, a powerful point, in light of you also saying that we have to go beyond tradition, beyond all the sort of known fixed structures. Because I think, I mean, the way many people might interpret that is, well, therefore, I'm on my own, I have to make my own choices, I'm not going to ask anyone for help. Because that's an old paradigm.
And I do what I like.
And I do what I like. And of course,
right.
that's the predominant culture we live in, is
right.
freedom is you do what you like.
Yeah. And that's not what freedom is about.
No, and that's why I find this very interesting, because even in terms of a relationship with a spiritual teacher or a master, that's a lot of the difficulty with that in our culture, if you like, is because people equate it with a tradition or an outdated paradigm, or now we're living in this egalitarian society. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But what I feel you saying is there has to be a balance there, or
yeah. Well, I'll tell you that I will focus from different sides. So first of all, I make my own choices, but I have to make them according to the law of life. Yeah. And the law of life is something I can only find deep inside of myself.
Right.
That is what we call the original truth. So it is, in the Bible they already said, your will through me. And it's about that. It's not it's not about me, but it's about what is the greater will, the higher will, and act upon that. So that means sometimes that I will do things that from a personal point of view, I wouldn't do them that way. And then all of a sudden I feel, but that's how to do it. Right. That is really how to do it. And that sometimes for a person might be more or less comfortable than I would want it to be for that person. Yeah, because that is the real way to do it. So, and then another angle to go is like when we talked about the hierarchies, like you said about the hierarchy, it's about humility. Like from the teacher's point of view, like from my point of view, when I look to people that I work with, I don't like to call them my students, because then I'm already being in a patronizing position. It's like I've got a function to fulfill here. I'm very aware that I'm the one that knows, still, yeah. And I'm very aware that for them, I should be on a platform. But I'm not putting myself on that platform. That's very important. If from the moment on that the teacher, the master, the guru, whatever he, she calls him herself, puts him herself on a platform from his own point of view, he's totally in the wrong position. Yet the hierarchy does exist.
Right.
For my student, so like if I'm the student, I should put that person on a platform or on a pedestal or whatever you want to call it. Because for me, I must be able to look up at that person and say, okay, let it come in. With this proper kind of humility, right? So in that sense, hierarchy is tremendously important as a feeling inside. Like, towards the student, I feel respect because I know where I've been when I was going this path. So when I see my students struggling and falling over all those stones, and every now and then, fortunately, finding the stepping stones, I know what that person feels. I know all the despair and exasperation the person can feel by trying to find his way over all those rocks, and at the same time the acceleration the person feels, well, yeah, that's a stepping stone, right? Because I've been there. I've taken that path. So that's the place for the master to be, and at the same time the place for the master to be is not to want my student, my, in inverted commas, to get where I hope he gets to, but to keep on following the student and say, okay, that's where he is, what am I going to do? Yeah, ask God, give it a word. Yeah, ask God, higher powers, divine powers, whatever one wants to call it, because there's a hierarchy, there's angels, there's all that kind of stuff, and it's not that the angels are not those that some people here channel, like they say we're channeling the angels' voices. Forget about that, because angels don't be channeled. It's just not possible. It's just really not possible. It's not that kind of voice they can give. What they're channeling, I don't know, but it's certainly not the angels. That doesn't mean that what they're saying very often isn't good. Yeah? Beware. But what they're saying is not right. It's not the angels that they're channeling. So, but the angels are a hierarchy above humanity. So I certainly, when I'm working with somebody, and especially if it's somebody that I'm very aware of can have a position in this whole beingness of helping people forward, so that's even a more important position than just somebody that's living in their family, not wanting to know anything of anything. Yeah, I'm very aware that each tiny detail starts to matter. Well, somewhere else I might just go a bit more in general, but there each tiny detail matters. So very often it's like, okay, so tell me what to do, because I would do this. Is that what I'm supposed to do? It's like everybody needs to acknowledge all the time there's something higher than me. Whether it's a person or it's not in a body, it doesn't really matter. It is very important if one does learn from somebody that one has this respect and says, okay, this is definitely like a higher power. Yeah, I feel that's very important, because otherwise one won't really have the right respect. But the interesting thing is, if one really gets to the place of being a master, and now I don't mean a teacher, I mean a master in the sense of really being a master, then one automatically has that for every living being. That's just automatic. That's where one recognizes a master. A master is not somebody that finds himself so much more than anybody else. That's not the master. But the master is also not this false, modest person. No. That's, I mean, if we look back in, especially in Chinese and Tibetan history, we see that the masters were certainly not these false, modest people sort of cowering in a corner. They smacked their students. They were certainly aware that they were the master, and that was not the master in schoolmaster. That was a master. Yeah. Now, I don't believe in those tactics anymore. I believe in just teaching with love and not with a smack. But then sometimes love can be a smack. Because very many people find love very scary. They don't really know what to do with it, because it's mirroring themselves more than anything else would mirror them. So, did I answer your question?
Yes, definitely, and more.
Okay.